I'm going to have to shut that off for a second, please. Nice to see you, badge.
Sorry, I have a member of the press. I want to interview Professor Schneider.
If you don't shut that off, I'm going to take it away from you.
Sorry, sir, we have the press.
I don't care. Okay, I asked you to shut it off. If it happens again, take it away from you, you're going out. Is that understood? Thank you very much.
This is unbelievable.
No, I just wanted to take you back.
So they kicked him out and wouldn't let him film. Now, that is a UN goon, obviously from New York, all the way over in another country, in Copenhagen, Denmark, with accredited press at a press conference asking their question at their allotted time. Well, he can't get a question answered there. This fellow's the filmmaker that made Not Evil, Just Wrong, which pure evil and wrong should be the name of the... Al Gore's a eugenicist. But UN goons silence journalist who questions Gore on ClimateGate. And for TV viewers, for radio listeners, I'm going to play the audio. He's just trying to talk to Al Gore, and the security guards go at the microphone and the camera and rip the cords out. And this has happened to us. Security guards and police are trained, go after the cameras. Hey, their face scanning cameras on us are great. But our cameras on them, that's bad. Because, again, we are their property. They don't want a T-bone steak at the grocery store when they walk in to feed on something, jumping off the shelf and hitting them in the face. You're there to supply them. What is a slave doing with a camera on me? I think so little of you, slave, I'm going to tell you polar bears can't swim and the sun doesn't cause climate change. I'm going to tell you penguins are drowning because you're idiots. Now lay there, steak, and let me cook your butt and eat you. I got men with guns here that say I rule you. You're going to lay down and you're going to take it. You understand that, boy? Land of the coward, home of the slaves. Lay down and take it. I got pot-bellied men with weapons and the force to use them, and a cowardly public ready to be raped. Let's go to Al Gore. Here it is. Again, this is the journalist asking Al Gore some inconvenient questions about ClimateGate.
You've repeatedly said the oldest ClimateGate email is 10 years old. It's actually 2 months. Will you correct the record?
Mr. Gore? We're not doing interviews right now.
Mr. Gore. Mr. Gore, will you correct the record?
We're not doing interviews right now.
Excuse me.
We're not doing interviews right now.
The UN gets the microphone. UN security pulls the cable from his microphone. Mickelier's microphone.
And this is what they did to my microphone. It seems you're not allowed to ask inconvenient questions of Al Gore.
I really should have gone to this. I've got the radio to do. Can you imagine what would happen if we were in the middle of that circus? I mean, it would have been. And those UN guys are all really a piece of work. There's nothing more dangerous than a leftist with a gun, because they're not leftists. These are Nazis posing as liberals. And the sooner you people figure that out, the better off you're going to be. On the subject of other UN information, inconvenient truth for Al Gore as his North Pole sums don't add up. It turns out, remember Al Gore 3 years ago said that by 2009, the summer, that the entire Arctic and Antarctic ice caps would be melted? Unfortunately, they grew by 24%, according to NASA. But see, it doesn't stop Al Gore. Again, yesterday in a press conference, well, not a press conference, a closed-door meeting with only select members of the UN, a press briefing, showing video of the Arctic melting in the summer. That'd be like if I lived in Wisconsin and I went out and showed my house December 15th covered with snow and said, look, it was once cold. And then I show them July 4th, 2010, and say, look, now it's green grass. It's global warming. Yeah, because the Earth's tilted towards the sun. We're orbiting a giant nuclear furnace. But Al Gore 3 years ago said it would be completely melted. It's actually gotten bigger. Bigger than it was 3 years ago, because not only does it get bigger in the winter, smaller in the summer, there's cycles. And this has all been recorded by Arctic expeditions. You know, 1 year an Arctic explorer goes up, and then it gets cold and traps him 200 miles in. And they say, oh, the last expedition 10 years ago, this didn't happen because it fluctuates. I mean, it's even more asinine to say that polar bears can't swim. But worse than that is to say that climate change is abnormal. Think how dumb they think you are. Climate change. Change. Climate change. There were times in British history where every year major rivers froze. Now it hasn't happened in a century. But there were times before that when it didn't freeze at all either. They have records of all of this. It fluctuates. But again, they tell your school kids that penguins can't swim and are drowning. That's what you let them do. These criminals, they know what they're doing. So Al Gore came out again and said, look, 5 to 7 years, there's not going to be any ice caps. And then the actual scientist that he quotes came out and said, well, that's not actually right. I'm saying it could potentially maybe happen, but certainly not a 75% chance like Al Gore says. I mean, these guys said we were going to all freeze to death in 1974 and that we had to build and pay global taxes to build giant carbon dioxide factories to terraform the earth. I mean, they just keep making up lie after lie. But notice, every lie positions them as the saviors of the earth. They will save you. Just pay them the tax money. The good news is we had a big guest on yesterday who's a high-powered lawyer, works with Congress, and he did break the news here that he's already started litigation, but he didn't want to give details. And I don't know if this is that litigation, but there's a lot of litigation against these different universities and government bodies in the emails openly engaged in fraud. The British have been caught destroying the evidence now. But they said, don't worry, we have the value-added integrated data that we made up. They immediately destroyed the data. What does that tell you when somebody destroys the data when they get caught? It's like the police come in your house and you're like flushing cocaine down the toilet. I mean, it's... Or let's say you've been killing little kids. You're like throwing their body parts in a furnace as the cops come in, pouring gasoline on it. I mean, just caught red-handed. It's even worse trying to destroy the evidence. So now the Department of Energy's had to send a litigation hold notice regarding CRU to employees asking to preserve documents, saying do not shred documents. The Department of Energy has received a litigation hold notice from the U.S. Department of Energy General Counsel and the DOE Office of Inspector General. And this is due to lawsuits being filed and congressional requests regarding the Climate Research Unit at the University of East Anglia in England. Accordingly, they are requesting that SRNSs, SRRs, this is happening in the U.S. too, not just England, and other site contractors locate and preserve all documents, records, data, correspondence, notes, and other materials, whether official or unofficial, original or duplicative, drafts or final versions, partial or complete, related to global warming. And this includes PDFs, PDAs, Palm Pilots, Blackberries, computers, telephone logs, internet usage files, emails, system manuals, network access information. It goes on and on. Folks, it looks like they're not going to get Copenhagen, but they're going to try to do it by stealth, as Lord Monson and others have said. I want to break that down when we come back. But this is better than we thought. Because if there's no tentative agreement, Obama has nothing to sign. So what they'll do is they're going to sign an agreement to agree to meet in Mexico City next year, like our expert guest said yesterday. And that's now come out today. And he is still going to instruct